In today's video, I'm going to be doing something a little bit new. As you guys know, I do most of my reviews on Friday, but I'm going to be doing a chapter analysis today for my fans that don't read the scans and read the officials. That way, both parties that read the scans and officials can get a detailed view of my thoughts on the chapter. But before we get into the chapter analysis, make sure you hit that pinned comment and follow me on Twitch. I stream every day and have awesome conversations about One Piece and other anime and manga as well. But without further ado, let's get into the video. So this chapter was actually one that was pretty amazing. And of course, most of this conversation is going to be revolved around Sanji, Zoro, Queen, and King, and what I feel about that fight individually and what it means for the story. But I want to talk about some of the other finer details that happen in this chapter as well. I think something of note and something we should talk about is the length and longevity of the rest of Wano, because very early on in this chapter we get updates on everything that's happening. We see the narrator talk about the Samurai Pirate Alliance and how they started the raid with the 5,400 men against the Beast Pirates 30,000, and we see because of their valiant efforts in Tama's Kibidango strategy and also the defeat of the Flying Six that all of the numbers have seemed to dwindle and things are starting to seem a little bit more balanced. I think something of note here to see is that we do see Black Maria, Who's Who, and Sasaki on panel knocked out, but we don't see all tier page 1. Now, I know some of you may be confused by this, but don't be, because we see all of their names in the panel before when they talk about how the Topiropo have lost. So we know that they all have lost, and it states that they've all lost. We just didn't get to see all of them on panel, and that's probably just due to how Oda wanted to put the art. I've seen some people in the comments talking about, since maybe we didn't see all T on page 1, that they could still be alive or up, and I'm sure that they're still alive, but I'm pretty sure that they're down for the count for the remainder of the fight. Something that's very important for how many more chapters we may have is how long it's going to take Onigashima to get to the flower capital. So we see that it's more than halfway there, and there's only about 15 minutes before it gets there. If you think about where it started floating, which I believe was chapter 998, it has traveled about halfway and it took about 24 chapters to get there. So if we take into consideration it took 24 chapters to get halfway, I don't believe 100% that it'll take another 24 chapters for it to land. I'm sure Oda isn't going to be that linear with it, but just looking at the fact that it took 24 chapters to get this far with Onigashima, I'm thinking that maybe another 20 or 30 chapters to end Wano would make a lot of sense. If you look at it from the perspective of the narrative, because a lot of things that people bring up are like Kaido's backstory, right? So Big Mom's backstory was about 2 to 3 chapters. A lot of the backstories are like 2 to 3 chapters. Odin's was pretty long, but Kaido's I don't believe will be that long or needs to be. I could see his backstory being, 2 or 3 chapters like I stated. Another thing people bring up is the CP0 stuff. I believe that stuff again could be tied up in 1 to 2 chapters, and a lot of these things that are happening will also be happening synonymously with other things that are happening in Wano at the same time. For instance, we could get CP0 stuff in the same chapter that the Great Feast happens, or we could get CP0 stuff in the same chapter that Kaido is legitimately defeated. Oda always has a lot of different things happening at once. So I think 20 to 30 chapters is more than enough to wrap up Wano, especially since we know that the Straw Hat fights are done except for Zoro and Sanji's. Really all we have left, in my opinion, is Zoro and Sanji's altercation, Kaido's defeat, CP0 stuff, maybe a feast, maybe Kaido's backstory, and with all of that wrapped together, 20 or 30 chapters seems legitimate to me. The next thing that we get to see in this chapter is something that I honestly forgot about for a while, and that was Raizo versus Fukurokujo. Now, Fuku and Raizo's fight was very interesting because they're both shinobi. We got to see some very Naruto-esque things from Raizo with the shadow clones, and we got to see Fuko use his firecrackers on his earlobes, which I thought was pretty cool. The thing that's interesting about this is we get to take a look at some of the other scabbards that we have been wondering about. For instance, some people were asking, like, where's Kawamatsu, where's Denjiro, and we can see them in panel and they seem to be fighting elsewhere, so we know that they're okay. We also see the other scabbards that have gotten knocked out, and we see where Neko and Inu is at. Speaking of Neko, the GOAT got some awesome moments in this chapter, and we'll talk about them soon. But I think the thing that I like about the Fuko and Raizo fight the most is just the speech that we got from Raizo. He talks about that day we cried, laughed, and died alongside Odin-sama. We are all ghosts, well bent on fulfilling our master's dream. The scabbards in a lot of ways people think have been not that fulfilling. And I want to do a video speaking about the scabbards because I feel like they do deserve a little bit more respect than what I see in the community. People feel like the scabbards are uninteresting or they're underwhelming, and I think that's just due to the fact that people had very high expectations for them, due to the fact that Odin is just as awesome as he is and that they're the retainers of Odin. But if you take out the super high expectations and look at the awesome things that they've done and accomplished in this arc, I think that they've been more than fulfilling, and I respect them in a lot of ways. Raizo says, even if it kills us, we won't be able to rest until we have seen this through. Tonight will mark the end of Orochi's and Kaido's reign. There will be a brilliant new dawn tomorrow with Momonosuke as Shogun. And I think that this is a beautiful lecture by Raizo in this moment. This monologue that he has talking to Fuko kind of encompasses all of the feelings of the scabbards and what they're here to do and what their mission is, and I really appreciate this from Raizo. I'm very excited to see the close to that fight and how Raizo overcomes Fuku. At this point, we move on into Killer versus Hawkins. Now, this is something I'm definitely excited to analyze because I really feel like I know how this fight is going to go. As we've expected, Killer was going to do well against Hawkins in the sense of just physical combat, because in my opinion, Killer is more powerful than Hawkins. The problem is Hawkins' ability is very unique, and it's very easy to be tactical with. Because of this, he ends up putting one of his lives into Kid. Now, this is a problem for Killer because yes, Killer can defeat Hawkins, and Hawkins knows this, but if he does defeat Hawkins, he'll also kill Kid, which creates a dynamic and a new power struggle between them. It kind of balances things out. People are upset that Hawkins did something like this, but you have to understand that that's his kid, that's his powers, his devil fruit ability, and that's just how he fights. Of course, he might not be the most physical specimen when it comes to combat, but if he can make it so you can't kill him, it gives him enough time to find a way to win. How I see this fight happening is I believe that because Killer can't kill Hawkins without killing Kid, that there will just be a stalemate, because yes, he won't be able to kill Hawkins, but I don't think Hawkins can do enough damage in the amount of time needed to kill Killer. Because of this, I think the stalemate's going to last for a while, which will inevitably end up with Hawkins making a decision based on the probability of his cards, because we know that he has no type of loyalty to anyone. He has loyalty to statistics and probability. Due to this, the stalemate is going to last long enough for Kaido to start losing the fight, and once Hawkins sees on his cards that the probability is shifted, of course he's just going to stop fighting or he's going to give up. You have to understand, in the beginning when we see Hawkins and Apu making their decision to be with Kaido, Hawkins only decided to go with Kaido because the cards told him he would die if he didn't. He doesn't want to be here or be a part of this crew. He's only doing it because it's advantageous for his survival. So as soon as the cards change and it says that he'd survive more likely if he switches sides, of course he's going to do that. Also, I see Hawkins and Law having a very cool dynamic, and I wouldn't be surprised if Hawkins does join Law's crew in the end of Wano. We got to see a little bit of Law versus Big Mom in this chapter, which was awesome, but we didn't get to see a lot. We don't really know exactly what's going on or how they're doing, but we do get to see Big Mom laughing at them, so it seems that they're probably losing, which I mean makes sense. I don't expect Law and Kid to defeat Big Mom, not fair and square. If they beat Big Mom, it's going to be something like a very huge power creep that leads to them maybe activating her amnesia again due to a powerful attack, or maybe it's a situation in which she ends up retreating, but I don't see them outright physically defeating Big Mom, especially not killing Big Mom. It's just not going to happen in my opinion. But now we're at my most favorite part of the chapter, because we get to see Queen and King in an awesome double spread, and we get a little bit of Marco action, which leads into the start of this tag team altercation between Zoro Sanji, Queen and King. Marco has done everything that he can, and he's very tired at this point, and Sanji is also trying to fight King and Queen by himself, and of course it's just not working. King and Queen are very powerful. We see King and Queen kind of rampaging and defeating a lot of these enemies that had turned on them, but we also see, like I say, Sanji trying his hardest. It's just not working, which leads to him asking about the medicine with Zoro, which at this point I was wondering about, when is Zoro going to get up? We also see Peril Sparrow trying to attack Sanji in this moment, and of course this is where the goat comes in and he attacks Peril Sparrow, says let's take this outside, I'm here to avenge Pedro. He ends up hitting Peril Sparrow out of the way. So now we know Nekomamushi is going to take care of Peril Sparrow, which we already knew from chapters ago. But before we talk about the Sanji and Zoro stuff, really quick, I just have to give respect to Marco. I've seen a lot of people discrediting Marco, saying that he's weak, that he's a bum. You have to understand, Marco has been fighting King and Queen by himself for almost the entirety of the live stage stuff. He's also been dealing with Peril Sparrow trying to attack him while he's fighting them. So people have to give Marco his respect. As he said, it's kind of tiring fighting 2 billion berry men. The fact that Marco has lasted this long and done this well, I think speaks volumes to him as a character and to him strength-wise as well. And we need to put some respect on Marco. He's done a great job. He also protected Zoro with his fire when King was trying to attack him before the medicine kicked in. But of course, that led to the Diamble Jambe Muton shot and the Purgatory Onigiri, and that awesome double spread in which we got Zoro and Sanji starting this tag team against King and Queen. I'm so excited to see where this fight is going to go. And I think the biggest question, and I won't go into too many details because I'm making a separate video speaking directly about this tag team and how I think things will go. But the biggest question surrounding it, is it going to be very difficult of a fight for them, or is it going to show that Sanji and Zoro have grown to tremendous heights? That is the main question surrounding this for me. And I think once Sanji activates the raid suit, and maybe if Zoro learns how to use his Conqueror's coding, because yes, Zoro does have Conqueror's coding, but I think from the perspective of what happened on the roof, he doesn't know that he's using it. So if he learns how to use it in this altercation and Sanji also activates his raid suit, I think that we're going to see them surprisingly overcome a lot of obstacles very quickly, and we're going to see that Zoro and Sanji are much more powerful than what we thought. They said it themselves, if they win this, then that is that much closer to Luffy being the Pirate King. So I expect great things from Swirly and from Mosshead. Thank you guys so much for watching this video and this analysis of chapter 1022. I hope that you guys enjoyed it, and if you want me to keep doing analyses on Sunday when the official drops, please let me know in the comment section. Also, my Discord link is down there as well. Make sure you click that and join the Synsei Grand Fleet server. And as always, I hope you all are staying safe and healthy during these trying times. This has been Synsei Inc., and I will see you all in the next video.